Once again on the WISL stations, it is time for the Wise Home Energy Show with Jeff Flaherty.
Pure energy.
And here he is, the host for the most, Jeff in the studio. Hey, how's it going?
Excellent, Bob. It is always so super nice to be back in front of the master of ceremonies, Bob Savage.
Oh, please stop. Keep it up. I like that.
Yes,
Flattery
absolutely.
gets you everywhere.
That's almost my last name. So
That's true. I never thought of that. That's amazing.
So yeah, back in the hot seat. Really, once again, talking about homes. And it's kind of crazy out there, supply and demand. We're just still seeing the challenges with prices going up. And
I was going to say mostly demand these days.
Yeah, and really,
craziness.
you think about, I don't know if it's loosened up, but the demand was so high, supply was so short that there was no home inspections. And, we've seen a lot of heartache with that. Sometimes we get these calls and we go in and we're like, oh, boy, especially when the home has been flipped. Flipped is kind of lipstick on a pig. It looks great, but the house doesn't really perform, and people find that out very quickly usually. So the stuff that's hidden is really the stuff we do. It's not glamorous, but it shows up in the energy usage, it shows up in the comfort, and it shows up in the durability and sustainability of that structure going forward. So
probably safe to say that's like the number one factor when you're actually living with the home. You're in there. You're trying to make it work. The livability is so critical.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's we see some of these things. People are tweaking their homes, and they can tweak them the wrong way, and suddenly you can get some mold, and the way we use our homes can be detrimental to the way they perform.
That's an interesting point. You can make it worse, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you just do the scatter shot, the seat of the pants, firing from the hip, all those cliches, you try that stuff with the environmental factors in the home, and you can make it worse.
You really can. You really can. There's the rules of thumb and old wives' tales and all these type of things that tend to be Band-Aids. And like Band-Aids, you sometimes don't find out till a year or two down the road that it wasn't the best course of action.
Right. So let's tell them what it's all about. This is the Wise Home Energy Show. And Jeff Flaherty is the major domo here of Wise Home Energy. And just tell the folks, give them a quick, 45-second elevator talk about what it is you guys do.
Sure. We kind of do all things home energy, comfort, and sustainability. And we really start that out with a whole home assessment, accessing state grants that'll give you either a light assessment or, a more advanced assessment. And similar to a doctor's, we really want to find out what's going on, your concerns, how you want the home to perform in the future. So we work with the paperwork with the state, process it, get the either light assessment or a little more testing, a more advanced assessment, and show you what's going on. One of the things that we love at Wise Home Energy is we're not into sales. We don't really sell anything. We find out what you'd like to have fixed in your home, how you'd like your home to perform, and we show you some paths that will make it perform that way.
You're not just HVAC guys.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. And so from there, we look for grants and rebates, and really there's almost something available for everybody to take advantage of. So that's our specialty, and the demand, as we talked about, and supply, the demand is high. If anybody's out there looking for a career, I would certainly encourage them to call us at 585-270-5836. These are career positions. We are, looking to show people that this is viable, and you can have a career, health insurance and 401ks, and we're looking to really be competitive and not the old school churn and burn for employees. We want to build this team and offer our services to more people. So there's our little plug for a career option at Wise Home Energy.
Quite a few people at Wise Home Energy who've been with you, what if not from the beginning?
Yeah,
for many years.
11 and 10 years, a couple of them, and we've been in business for 13 years. So they found a place to stay, and they've love the mission statement and the vision. So they've been a huge part of our growth. So yeah, that's our 45-second, if not 2-minute elevator pitch.
That's fine.
But we, some of the calls we get are a little outside our norm. We're normally a retrofit company. We don't really do much new build. Some of the reason being is we're booked out usually 2-3 months, so it's hard to really time that. And sometimes the builder's goals and the homeowner's goals and our goals might not all align. But occasionally we get some calls from people that are looking for the best type applications for either new builds or some gut rehabs. And so there's a company called 475 Building Supply, and we sometimes work with them or people that bought products from them, and we rely on the experts in the field. And we just happen to have one of those experts in the field here today. And Corey Murphy has a really interesting background and quite a few different skill sets that he gives to the community through his company role, and also he's a professor at RIT teaching some classes. So we'll introduce Corey here and have him tell us a little bit about.
Wait a minute, he's a professor? He's not even wearing tweed.
I know.
How can this be?
I know. Hoping that's next show.
Well, I put a collar on the shirt just to.
I see. It's just one that you added on. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So welcome, Corey. Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So I'm a certified passive house consultant. I'm a product consultant over at 475 for New York State specifically. I've been an adjunct at RIT in their graduate architecture department for the last, this is my 5th year. And for 475, we provide materials, but we put a significant amount of resources into the knowledge that we put out there. If you check out our website, we have free ebooks, whether you're doing a new build, 2x framing, or if it's a, 2x retrofit, masonry. Regardless of what kind of, build or retrofit, context we're looking at, we've got just free resources for you. I'd say everything except for straw bale. But with straw bale, we still point you in the right place.
And that's what's so interesting about the services that they offer, and what Corey has to offer is a lot of the products we buy. The manufacturer's like, here you go, good luck with it. Read the back panel on the product or read the manual and do the best you can. And so to have not only that high-end product, but to have that knowledgeable resource in Corey and his team to be able to work with and get that information is so refreshing. It's kind of unheard of in this day and age. It's really service, and it gives a lot of confidence to the end user, but it also gives a lot of confidence to the folks that are installing these higher end products that maybe we're not used to installing every day. So it's an awesome thing that your company and you are offering to the people that are looking for these longer term sustainable homes. And really that's what he is kind of an expert in. And I guess we want to talk about what does that mean, sustainable and passive home, and some of these topics.
And what are some of those products?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got some neat products. I'll let him discuss maybe some of his favorite or some of the most used ones.
Yeah. So, ultimately, speaking to the durability and to the performance, right? It's, everyone is, most folks tend to be familiar with R value, right? But R value isn't necessarily like the most direct indicator for performance. The way we see it, there's kind of the hierarchy of priorities, right? Number one, keep water out. Bulk water will ruin your house regardless of what R value is in the wall. Keep it out. That's what makes a home. The next biggest concern as far as the durability goes is actually air leakage. Air is capable of transporting significantly more water than you're thinking of. When you think about, going into homes, tearing down walls and seeing, mold issues or rot, that tends to be directly related with the amount of air leakage that, is ultimately just depositing moisture in that assembly. once you have it sealed up, the next piece is really making sure that you're managing vapor. So there are a lot of materials out there that, we'll talk about having a very high R value and it's going to be airtight, but not necessarily allow for that wall to do what it needs to do, which is dry. So if we're talking, metrics, right? So R value, how much thermal resistance is in that wall. One metric that's really important for us to kind of understand is permeability, or the perm rating. And that refers to how much vapor can get through that material, one way or the other way. So, common materials like closed cell spray foam, that is an impermeable material. That's part of the goal of it, prevent any vapor from getting into it. But if we think about how our walls want to behave, how moisture is going to interact with those walls, we also see that it's not necessarily the most durable material out there. So we advocate for predominantly vapor open assemblies. That's your common, fibrous insulation for your, studs, whether it's rock wool or fiberglass or cellulose or straw bale.
Yeah.
Rock wool. Now there's a term I haven't heard in years. Wow.
Yeah. And you can throw hemp in there as becoming a more viable, cost competitive insulation. Wood fiber insulation. Timber HP is projected to be really producing a lot of wood fiber insulation that should change the game pretty significantly. But we tend to recommend these fibrous materials because when it comes to moisture, if there's any moisture in that wall, they're going to distribute, as opposed to a vapor closed material, which is just going to kind of shed or have a concentrating effect.
So pardon the naivete of the question here, but is there such a thing as a material that has one permeability factor in one direction and a different one in the other direction?
So yeah, absolutely. There are. There are different materials that have embedded layers within it. So like zip panels, you see them everywhere. You have OSB with the green coating. That green coating is going to be 16 perms. The OSB is not going to have 16 perms for it. If it's like zip bar, you've got the polyiso in there. That's also not going to have the same permeability. One of my favorite materials and one of the materials that I think does the most for, number one, keeping the assembly airtight to prevent leakage, but number two, being able to moderate and manage the moisture that gets into the wall is smart vapor retarder called Intello. And essentially it is airtight, and its permeability reacts to the amount of relative humidity or airborne moisture that it's exposed to. And this isn't the same RH. Like if you pull up your weather app and you're looking outside, it's not the same thing. We're talking about interior relative humidity because we want to put that on the inside of our insulation, keep your interior conditioned space where you want it. And number two, the amount of moisture, the airborne moisture, the humidity in the wall assembly. So Intello, during winter, if there's, RH in the wall, it's in the form of condensation, physical little droplets of water. Intello is going to be vapor closed at 0.13 perms. So it's a class 2 vapor retarder. If the RH in that wall assembly and kind of average with the interior gets up to 70%, then it is going to be about 1.7 perms. So still relatively closed. Beyond 70%, as we get to 80% relative humidity, we're at 8 perms. Anything beyond that, it's going up to 13 perms. So it's really designed to keep vapor from getting into the assembly during winter, where you have all this warmer interior, more humid conditioned air, and also promote drying during the summer, which is when you have the warmer air outside, the more humid air outside, and the cooler conditioned air inside. So it's really, it's working with the natural flow that humidity, wants to go with anyway.
You're listening to the Wise Home Energy Show on the WYSL stations, 92.1 FM, 95.5 FM West, and AM 1040. Your host is Jeff Flaherty from Wise Home Energy, and that phone number because you don't want to hate your home and you want to pick up the phone and you want to call.
585-270-5836. And here we are with Corey Murphy in studio. And I loved what he just said. It's really interesting. It's hard to, think about from the average consumer that the world, some of the cliches are the world hates a vacuum is one, but more the world is trying to equalize, right? So wet is trying to go to dry, hot is trying to go to cold, and those are the products that Corey has that manage that. So one of our old adages, I think, that falls into what you were just discussing, that is that things can get wet, but they have to be able to dry. And where we see problems in the home is when they get wet and they don't dry, we have issues. So Corey's products and his knowledge of how to install those products is really able to help, resolve that issue or prevent that issue. So, Corey, what's the, just for the listeners, what's the best way to get a hold of you or your company? What's the contact information there?
Yeah, so you could always go to our website. Just type into the Google search bar 475 High Performance Building Supply. Even our name 475 is a reference to a passive house certification metric. You could always just email me at cm at 475 the numbers .supply, or give me a call 585-380-1084. I'd say I spend a decent amount of time either talking to homeowners, talking to builders, talking to architects, providing presentations, providing, on-site trainings. We really try to provide the full service because, from our perspective, the more builders that feel comfortable, right? Knowing the basic question, right? Which tape goes where, right? What's the purpose of this material? If this Intello is supposed to be airtight, how do I make sure it's airtight, but still, apply it to the stud? And I'm happy to either talk with anyone through it or, just come out and see the project.
Yeah. And it's so big. Just this week, I had an email from a builder, just said, I'm, spray foaming houses and didn't have a lot of detail. That's great. And, I'm concerned about moisture. I didn't know if that meant he'd already had some moisture. And I'm trying to debate whether an HRV or an ERV, heat recovery ventilator or energy recovery ventilator is best. And that's really not enough information for me to say much, but I gave him a little information and also suggested that he Google a company down in the South. I think it's D.H. Horton, but we're starting to see that we build the code with these prescriptive, tighten it to this, put it in a little fresh air, hope and pray, and that's it. And we don't know how the home's going to be used, and the moisture is starting to cause some problems in homes. And that's where Corey's products and design help prevent that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The goal is to, provide as many directions for drying as possible, hopefully towards the exterior and the interior, but also make sure that from the interior side, we don't have moisture getting in there through diffusion, right, through the material or through air leakage. But, as far as HRVs and ERVs go, we carry those as well. I'm part of the two-person team seeing our Brink rollout for HRVs and ERVs. And I'll say for this climate, tends to be the recommendation for an ERV. Okay. Because ultimately an HRV is recovering heat, right? Heat, recovery, ventilation. Most of the HRVs you see out there are going to be somewhere between 85 and 91% efficient. The way an ERV works is it's still recovering heat, although not as efficiently, but it's maintaining the humidity on either the interior or the exterior. So if you have an HRV, you could be getting a lot of extra humidity during the summer. You could be drying out during the winter. With an ERV, it takes that interior humidity, brings it right back. And as far as those humid summers, it takes that exterior humidity, puts it right back out.
Very nice. Yeah, It's where we really get into the testing, right? It's we can design and model, and Corey certainly gets into that also, modeling these homes. That's what we worry about. The builders that aren't spending a lot of time modeling, or as we've talked on past shows, at the last minute they go, add a new furnace. I've had some big homes where they're 20 years old, and I say, how did you end up with a second furnace in the attic? And the last minute, the builder got nervous and said, I think we need an extra furnace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with a lot of older homes that are drafty, not necessarily comfortable, they dried in a pretty simple way. You have a super oversized furnace, or two in this case, and it bakes the assembly dry. It's not efficient. It's not really comfortable. You're always just kind of fighting the elements.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah.
Right, it is.
Well, that's what part of brings passive house affordability kind of into the mainstream, where you're essentially taking some of that money that you'd put towards that second furnace or the oversized furnace, you're putting it into your wall assembly, and you're ending up with a house that's conserving the energy that is already in there. It's taking advantage of the free energy that the sun's trying to give you anyway, and it's a more self-reliant dwelling. So you don't need to spend, $3,000-$4,000, if you got an old house like me on fuel oil or natural gas. And so it also makes it, short-term affordable, more affordable, but, not necessarily as much as, code. I'm not going to lie to you. But when we're talking about 5-7 years down the line, and you're not still paying $3,000 to $4,000 a year to heat that house, it's got a pretty quick return on investment, especially with the way you've seen prices go.
Yeah, and we've seen the inflation rates the past couple of years really skyrocketing, and energy prices are fluid, and there's some theory that we're starting to get tied to the global market, which overseas you see therm prices on gas 2, 3, 4 times the price of what you have in the U.S. So if that comes to fruition here, you're going to want to make those upfront investments, not only on the building durability, but on the cost of operating the home. And that's why it's so important to do that.
Yeah, some folks say, we're just going to put solar panels all over the roof, done. We've got everything that we need. It'd be better if you took a quarter of that money, put it into materials in your wall assembly, and now all of a sudden you only need 2 panels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those panels have a finite life too, don't forget.
Right.
Yeah, I think they, for the most part, they operate at 80% of their rated capacity after 20 years, which, still isn't bad. But, at the same time, I'd rather have a wall assembly that lasts 50 to 100 years.
There you go. Absolutely. We really, one of the things that Corey and I are doing is really trying to get the word out, because the average consumer, customer, homeowner doesn't really know this, and they get the contractor who comes into the home with, I've got the shiny new thing, I got some solar panels, let's put it on the roof. How old's the roof? So, don't put it on a 15-year-old roof. I think that's a bad idea. So we don't want to specialize in shiny things. We want to think in terms of, where's the home going to be in 5, 10, as Corey said, 50 years down the road. We think in terms of that. Now we're really building value. We're not degrading or disintegrating the home. We're making it last. So.
What's the typical application of 475 products with projects that Wise Home Energy does?
Ours are we're a little more retrofit and not do a ton of existing. One of the projects we worked on, a gentleman really had specific products in mind. So not to put words in Corey's mouth, but we use spray foam. I think their corporate approach is maybe a little less spray foam. There's other products that can do the same thing and stop the airflow, which stops that vapor transfer. So we had a gentleman who wanted those products, and so it becomes out of our norm. We have to stop and take people and train them, which is fine, but the demand has to be there. But Corey's come out and helped us with that. Recently, we had a gentleman who's I think we talked about last show. He's been there 7 years. He's roof rotted out. It's an unusual home because it has like 4-foot slopes all around a hip roof, and So whoever did the first roof design butchered it, and he decided he was not going to spend money. This roof would be his last roof, I think, and so he has gone down this I call it a rabbit hole, because he's really gotten into managing humidity and monitoring it, and he has gone to 475 Supply and purchased those materials. He wants to do it somewhat himself, wants to have us come out, but as I said, we're booked out so many months, and it's hard to kind of time that together with maybe a DIY plan. But Corey's gotten involved to consult with the proper way to apply these materials, and that's just an unbelievable resource in this day and age. I mean, I can barely get the cable company on the phone.
Yeah, I think actually one of the first times that I emailed with you was a project over in Penfield, and it was a liquid applied air barrier similar to the Intello that I was describing before, and you wanted me to stop by to make sure it was going on right. Your team was doing an amazing job. This additional project came up, so I. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think we see things from a pretty similar perspective. We want the type of advice that we would want to receive.
Right.
So whether that means talking someone out of using a specific product in a specific place, or considering a different approach, it really comes down to the homeowner's needs, the project needs, and providing the type of support that we would hopefully want to receive.
Yeah.
The cable company should be there the next day.
Right.
So I try.
Cable company? 2 words. Roku stick.
Yeah, right. So Corey, wrapping up here, what's the contact information if anybody wants to get a hold of you or get to the company there?
Yeah, you can send me an email to, it's my direct email. It's CM, my initials, Corey Murphy, at 475 the numbers .supply, no.com, just .supply.
Nice.
And go to our website, check out our free resources, whether it's downloading the ebooks or, reading up on any of our posts. But we'd love to help.
Great information there for sure.
And let's find out about Wise Home Energy, how to not hate your home.
No, don't hate your home. Pick up the phone. You can call 585-270-5836 or reach us at wisehomeenergy.com.
All right. Well, thanks very much, guys, Corey and Jeff, for coming in here to the program, the Wise Home Energy Show, on the WYSL stations. Don't forget this program available as a podcast at WYSL1040.com. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Wise Home Energy Show.